閉じろ。それを見るな、シゲオ。
Every anime fan has that moment. You're watching a fight, the villain monologues about being the strongest, the music swells, and then the main character ends it so fast, the animation budget barely took a hit. I live for those moments. There's something deeply satisfying about a protagonist who treats world-ending threats like minor inconveniences. So today, I'm counting down the most absurdly, hilariously, existentially overpowered main characters in anime. These aren't your trained for years, barely won types. These are the walking cheat codes, the living error messages. Let's get into it.
おい、ボール持ったぞあいつ。あんな遠くからどうするつもりだ。ふざけてるのか。ろくにほうきも乗れない雑魚が何や。奪い取ってやるよ、雑魚が。
Picture this, a world where magic determines your entire social standing, your career, your worth as a human being. Now, drop a guy in there who has zero magic. None, not a drop. And instead of being tragic, it's the funniest thing I've ever seen because MASH just punches his way through everything. Spells, enchantments, ancient forbidden techniques, none of it matters when this man can flex hard enough to shatter the laws of physics. I watched him deflect a gravity spell by doing squats. I love how committed the show is to the bit. Every escalation in magical threat is met with the same answer, more muscle. There's no arc to his strength. He was always this absurd. And honestly, I respect it more than half the power systems out there.
くそ。先回りされていたか。が、一人ならたやすい。
魔力だけならアルファ以上。でも残念ながら全く扱えてない。それにそう。踏み込みが甘い。
I've seen a lot of isekai protagonists who are secretly powerful. Sid is something else entirely. He's a guy who reincarnated with one dream, to become the ultimate shadow ruler, pulling strings from the darkness, and he treats it like a live-action roleplay. He invents a fake evil organization to fight against. He recruits followers using made-up lore. He delivers monologues he rehearsed in his bedroom. The punchline that never stops landing, everything he fabricated turns out to be real. Every conspiracy, every enemy faction, every dramatic speech, accidentally correct. I genuinely can't tell if he's the luckiest idiot alive or an unconscious genius, and the show refuses to answer. His power level is absurd, but the comedy is what makes him legendary. Most retired characters in anime get dragged back into action through tragedy or revenge. Sakamoto got dragged back because people keep trying to kill him while he's stocking shelves. The man was the deadliest assassin in the world. Quit running a convenience store, gained weight, became a devoted family man, and is still untouchable. I find it genuinely hilarious that his retirement body doesn't slow him down at all. He uses shopping baskets as weapons, takes out trained killers with a bag of flour. The gap between Sakamoto and every other character in his universe isn't a gap, it's a canyon with a gift shop at the bottom. It keeps me invested, not because of whether he'll win, it's how creatively he'll do it this time.
お前は自分の兵、自分の価値、 自分の領民まで。なんてやつだ、化け物め、悪魔、ドラキュラ。
There are powerful vampires in anime, and then there's Alucard, who makes every other vampire look like a cosplayer. Hellsing Ultimate gave me a protagonist who doesn't fight enemies, he entertains himself with them. The man walks into gunfire smiling. He lets people land hits just to see the hope drain from their eyes when he regenerates. I remember watching his fight against Luke Valentine and thinking, okay, this is a monster wearing the skin of a main character, and that's before the reveal that he's carrying millions of absorbed souls as backup lives. By the end, after absorbing Schrodinger, Alucard exists everywhere and nowhere. He stopped being a character and became a concept. Hellsing didn't give me an overpowered protagonist, it gave me a nightmare that I chose to wear a hat.
4、5、侵入したのは全部で6人か。
おい CAD を捨てろ。聞こえないのか。
Tatsuya is the kind of overpowered that governments classify as a national security threat. On the surface, he's a stoic high school student ranked in the lower tier of his magic academy. Underneath that, he can decompose matter at a molecular level and reconstruct anything, including himself, from total annihilation. I remember the moment it clicked for me. This isn't a student pretending to be average. This is a living weapon on a leash, and the leash is mostly voluntary. There is a reason why people call him God Suya, because unlike the usual stone-faced protagonists, his emotional suppression isn't an aesthetic choice, it was engineered into him. His power came at the cost of nearly all human feeling. That trade-off made me care about a character I initially thought was just another blank slate power fantasy. If you are enjoying this video, please give it a like and consider subscribing to the channel. Thank you!
おい、お前。こんなの初めてだ。わかるか。なあ、僕も敵。
俺が手をつかされた。
あんなガキに。
I think Mob is the most honest answer to the question, what if someone was genuinely all-powerful? Because he doesn't care. He has psychic abilities that could level cities, bend reality, and dismantle anyone who threatens him. And all he wants is to be good at talking to people. The tension in Mob Psycho 100 was never about whether Mob could win a fight. It was always about whether he could hold himself together emotionally before his power decided for him. When he hits %%, that unconscious eruption of everything he suppressed, it's not triumphant, it's terrifying. I've never seen another anime treat overwhelming power as something so deeply lonely. Mob taught me that the scariest version of Overpowered isn't the guy who wants to fight. It's the one desperately trying not to.
決まりだ。素晴らしい。最高記録だ。
Here's the thing about Ainz that I don't think gets discussed enough. He's faking it constantly. He's a salaryman trapped inside a max-level skeleton wizard, surrounded by NPCs who worship him as an infallible god, and every decision he makes is a panicked improvisation that his followers interpret as 4D chess. The comedy writes itself. But then the show flips, and you remember that even if Ainz is winging it, his actual power is horrifying. I watched him cast a single spell that wiped out an entire army like it was a system notification. 70,000 soldiers gone! No build-up, no dramatic clash, just deletion. Overlord walks this bizarre tightrope between workplace comedy and genuine war crime, and somehow never falls off. I shouldn't be rooting for this man, but here I am.
ああ。ユニークスキル無慈悲なるものにてこの場に生存する全ての人間の魂を刈り取りました。ただし個体名エドマリスとレイヒムは対象指定外となっております。本当に無慈悲だ。
何が起こった？
Starting as the weakest possible creature in a fantasy world and ending as someone who can rewrite reality? That's the Rimuru pipeline. I got hooked to this anime early, not because of the power scaling, it was the diplomacy. Rimuru spent entire arcs talking, negotiating, building alliances, treating every problem like a civic project. I kept waiting for the shoe to drop, and when it did, when the Falmouth Kingdom pushed him past his limit, the shift was seismic. Watching him calmly absorb 20,000 souls to trigger his Demon Lord evolution felt less like a power-up and more like a consequence. The harvest scene is cold, calculated. There's no battle cry, no rage animation, just a decision. That's what makes Rimuru terrifying. He's not overpowered because he lost control. He's overpowered because he made a choice and had the means to follow through.
どうやら貴様の魔法は戦いには
これは
気づいたか？心臓の鼓動だ。
待ちやがれ。
I need to be honest, Anos is the most entertaining, overpowered character I've ever watched. Not the deepest, not the most layered, the most fun. This man killed someone with his heartbeat. He looked at the concept of time, the literal fabric of causality, and said no. His enemies try to erase him from existence, and he just walks back into the scene like he's returning from a coffee break. What makes Anos work is the delivery. He's not arrogant in a way that grates. He's arrogant in a way that's factual. He is the strongest thing in his universe, and everyone, including the narrative, knows it. I've watched so many OP protagonists try to play humble, and it bores me. Anos looked at humility, found it unnecessary, and I couldn't agree more. Pure spectacle, zero pretense.
何してんだ？おい。
逃げた。あの柱兜が。今手を出せばやられていた。何なんだこいつは。隙だらけなのに俺の直感が大音量で危険信号を発している。
There's a reason Saitama sits at the top of every list like this, and it's not just because he can end any fight in a single punch. It's because the show understood something most OP anime miss entirely: the loneliness of being untouchable. I came to One Punch Man for the comedy and stayed because it made me feel genuinely sad for a bald man in a yellow cape. Saitama broke his limiter so completely that nothing in his universe registers as a challenge anymore. Villains monologue at him, and he zones out thinking about grocery deals. But underneath the gag, there's a man who achieved everything he wanted and found out it meant nothing. The Boros fight sealed it for me. Here's a conqueror who crossed the universe chasing a prophecy, burned through every transformation he had, staked his entire existence on one final attack, and Saitama ended it with a punch he called serious out of courtesy. Boros knew. He died knowing Saitama wasn't even trying. That quiet defeat said more than any victory ever could. And that's the list! 10 protagonists who turned their entire universes into easy mode, some by accident, some by design, and one by doing push-ups until reality broke. What I love about this lineup is how different they all are. Overpowered doesn't have to mean boring, it just has to mean something. Let me know in the comments which OP protagonist you'd add to this list, and I'll see you in the next one.